but please remember that the presentation is not the final submission. So what we will present next week will be the outcome of that second part of the research based on the thematic analysis, while you will have 3 more weeks to write the research essay. Why? Because on the occasion of the presentation, we want to give you some feedback and to discuss about the second part of the research, and then you can elaborate the writing of your paper for the final booklet that will be submitted on June 17. So please try to do the effort for the next 3 weeks, for the next presentation, to synthesize in one slide, the first slide, that it's kind of statement, the outcome of the previous part on the anatomy of the magazines. We only want to see in one slide really the DNA of your magazines, so the main aspects that you were able to understand after this exploration of the magazines conducted in the first part. And all the presentation will focus on what we call the critical anthology, that is a repository collection of articles organized in a critical way that show the steps of your thematic analysis. Even if you work on a specific topic, or if you work on an author, or if you work on a section of the magazines, are different approaches. The important thing is that you use the articles for that part to construct your interpretation and your discourse that have to be supported by the collection of articles. So we really move from a quantitative to a qualitative part of the work. It's not important to use all the articles, but it's important that you critically select the articles in order to construct your interpretation and your narrative. So what we want to see through this second presentation is how you frame it, this analysis, and which are the main thematics that you were able to identify working on in 5 years. So it's important to remember that while the survey, the recognition, the exploration was based on 10 years, this focus it's based on 5 years that you selected now that you have a perfect knowledge and you are aware of the contents and the history of the magazines over the 10 years. Okay? Last comments related to the rewriting, since many groups asked. By this Sunday, we want to have all the rewriting, beyond, of course, the ones by the group who will be responsible for the writing of the lesson by Jose, uploaded on the website. So we will send an email. We ask you to send all your critical writing by the end of the week, because you will use this as a support, I insist on this point, to prepare your final test. Last indication, I think it's important to understand that the rewriting is not the bibliography. You use the rewriting as a support to understand how each lecturer constructed the sequences of the articulation of the lecture, but it's a support to integrate your notes and the sources that you have in the bibliography. With these 3 elements, you will be perfectly aware of the topic and ready for the test. Last point, the test of the 3 of June will be organized through open questions. So you will be asked to write small articles, small essay, and we will evaluate the way you are able to articulate these answers. So you will not have a quiz or specific questions, but very wide questions where you have to, in a critical, synthetic way, to show your familiarity with the topics of the 9 lectures. Okay? And it's going to be the 3 of June. 3. Yes. Okay, I saw it's so obvious, but the day of the test you are not allowed to use your notes and the writing and the sources. I think it's obvious, but and all these materials will be used to prepare, of course, the test. Okay. 3 questions, 1 hour and a half. Okay? Okay, so
Hemos terminado antes la previsión.
Si queréis que
Can you hear if we speak without microphone?
Yes, you hear without any problem. I mean, I prefer not wearing it, but no, I can use it. No problem.
Okay, so while we wait to open the presentation, I would like to briefly introduce José Parra, who is a professor of history and theory, but also of architectural theory at the University of Alicante, whose investigation focused on North American architecture and in the West Coast, and in particular on specialistic publications and magazines. He will introduce his research. You can introduce your research.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Gaia, first of all, for letting me this opportunity to present our current research on this particular magazine, Arts and Architecture.
Yes. Not so much.
Sorry, it should be working. So, as Gaia said, I teach at the University of Alicante in Spain. I teach history, theory and history of modern architecture, and also some courses at our master studio of architectural criticism that has to do with construction of the cultural frames of our students' projects. So my current research, which is on media, architecture, mostly what I'm most interested in is in the relation between historiography and place, and how some places are read or considered or understood in a specific way according to the place they occupy in time, in geography, and how some places, for instance, are considered like norm, where others are peripherals or are considered secondary, and other actors are considered primary, for instance. No? So my research focused mostly on California, because California is a place that has this peripheral condition vis-a-vis the East Coast. The East Coast was the center mostly during the 40s, late 40s, 50s, 60s. Of course, currently the American academic institutions, American universities, are now like the center of cultural production and architecture. Columbia, Princeton are like the very center of architectural thinking. So this relation vis-a-vis the East Coast and the West Coast, the different perceptions, interests, the conflicts between the East Coast and the West Coast is something that is central in my research. I carry out research on some independent, not really well-known architects of California, but that I think that they were very interesting because they were even more progressive than some of the architects that were what they published. And somehow central to this research was the place that this magazine, the role that this magazine played in the construction of some California narratives. So, as part of this research, it was first a thesis research, but now it's an ongoing project. I'm doing different types of research, different themes that I really I'm interested in develop through California arts and architecture, because California architecture can be understood as a sort of tool or media to test actually the debates, the interest, the social, architectural interest of the time. And of course, because Arts and Architecture is a very well-known magazine with a lot of publicity, and now, for instance, this super famous Tashkent reprint of the magazine. Actually, we will talk later about the Tashkent reprint magazine and why, for instance, the Tashkent reprint magazine only took into consideration some issues of the magazine and not the entire run. I am interested in the magazine because the magazine is really well known, but a lot of things that have been said about the magazines are not accurate or have been said without, for instance, independent research for the primary sources. Primary sources such as Esther McCoy, for instance. We will talk later about McCoy and the role that she developed for the magazine because she was a writer, extremely good and interesting writer, but as a writer she created, or she took some licenses and she created some narratives that are not that accurate. So I'm interested in the magazine, in the publicity of the magazine, in how the magazine became that famous, why the magazine was so influential, for instance, via figures such as Rainer Banham, that was fascinated with the magazines, but it wasn't a coincidence that he was fascinated with the magazine. I will explain later why Banham was so interested in arts and architecture. And of course, he was responsible for the thing that magazine got, for instance, in England. I'm interested as well in the editor of the magazine. I'm publishing some research on this editor, John Tinsa, because Tinsa was a very famous editor, but as a person, his public persona is very well known, but his person remains a sort of enigmatic figure because he created actually a public persona for himself, and he used the magazine to create a public persona for himself, to project himself as a public figure. So first of all, there's a lot of conflicts between the editor and the magazine, and the private person and the public persona. First of all, because he was gay, and he was very biased